You looking for a keyboard? Like this? Hopefully that guy didn't creep you out. I don't know where he came from. But anyways, are you in the market for a new keyboard? I want to try and explain as plainly as possible how keyboards work, where are all the pieces. I don't know. I've never done one. I've done one keyboard. Makes me an expert. Okay, but I just want to help you understand what's important in a keyboard. What do you need? Well, step one, the first thing you need to do is decide your budget, because obviously you need a budget. I'm going to say this, you can get cheaper ones, but I think if you want a keyboard that's really going to last, you're going to need at least 150 bucks. And that's for the full get up. I'm not going to show like which keyboards are for 150 bucks. Maybe I'll make a video in the future for that. This is kind of an explanation of what you need, how to do it. This is the jump start. Now you can easily find gaming keyboards that are pre-built and are really good. They come from companies like Razer, HyperX, Corsair. All those companies make gaming keyboards that aren't overly expensive, usually around 100 bucks. You can pick up a pretty good one. I would just make sure if you want to be able to customize it, they're hot swappable is the only key here. All right, so where do you start? Now, one of my favorite keyboard companies is Glorious. Glorious Keyboards helps keep everything simplistic. You can buy everything on their website. Their keyboards are extremely good. This is my current keyboard, which is the GMMK Pro, which in my opinion, for the price of this base, you get a good bang for your buck. This thing's hefty, made out of metal, has an aluminum base. So we're gonna go over the build of the keyboard itself. What is each piece? So you got the base, which is the keyboard itself, which is this bottom piece here, not the keycaps. You also have these things called switches. Now the switches are what's under the keycap that allows you to actuate whatever buttons under there. The bases are what you're gonna need to understand kind of if you want wireless, if you want, and what size you want, okay? So I'm gonna give you 4 sizes. There are a lot more out there. You're gonna see percentage signs. Just know as the percentage shrinks, like it's gonna get smaller, obviously. A 60% keyboard is smaller than a 70% keyboard. In my opinion, 60% keyboards are strictly for gaming. That's my opinion. And even if you play some like RTS, other games like League and stuff like that, sometimes they use function keys. So if you play those type of games, you're gonna need the function key. This right here is a 60% keyboard. This is one of High Ground's beautiful collaboration boards. One of my all-time favorites. Right now it sits up there. It's most, like I said, it's a gaming keyboard. The GMMK Pro that I just showed you is a 70% keyboard. Remove all that. We're gonna go into simple terms. You have full-size keyboards, which is the normal keyboard you see at most like offices and stuff like that. The big keyboard, you have the number pad, you have all the keys and the function keys along the top, and usually some extra bits and bobs in there somewhere. For me, that's way too big for a setup, especially a gaming setup. Editing, the number pad's nice if you got some hotkeys or some shortcuts for your editing. But other than that, I feel like even if for editing, you don't really need a number pad. It's gonna be a weird cut, but make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. We're pumping out this tech content, baby. We are doing so good, but it's up to you. Then after number pad, you got 10 keyless, which is chopping off the number pad, which is basically the GMMK Pro. You still have like the page up, page down, delete keys on the side. And then you have a 60% keyboard, and those are the super tiny. Usually what cuts off is the function keys and the arrow keys. So you'll lose arrow keys in a 60%. Now, not always, like this High Ground keyboard's a 60% keyboard, and right here in the corner, these are arrow keys. I think it's because High Ground knows that those are important when playing certain games. I said 4, but apparently I don't know where I got a 4th one. There's more sizes. You can go smaller. There's 65% is in there as well. 65% usually leaves you with the arrow keys and maybe the function keys. It depends on the size. But all in all, just look at it. Look at what keys come on it. If you need function keys, if you don't need function keys are the F keys. that are along the top of the keyboard. F1, F2, those kinds of buttons. Okay, the build of it. You have what I call the base. I'm not sure the technical term of it. Again, we're doing this as plainly as possible. The base, that's the keyboard itself. That is the bottom section, this piece here. So there's a few features in there that you may want. You got to think if you want it to be wireless, if you want it to be, and there's two different types of wireless. There's dongle wireless, which that's what most Logitech keyboards are. You have that little dongle that comes out of a keyboard and you plug it in your computer. There's also Bluetooth. Now, not all PCs have Bluetooth, so I would make sure you check that your computer has Bluetooth. Then there's the switches. Now, switches come in all shapes, sizes, sounds, colors, not sizes really. They're all basically the same size. This little tiny thing, this guy right here. I'll get into a little bit the sound, which one to pick, all that kind of stuff. Which one to pick is all up to you. So then after that, you got keycaps, which is just what you see on the top. Currently, I have this Iron Man keycap set that's on my keyboard, my GMM-K Pro. That's just what goes over the top. Pretty plain and simple. Let's break it down a little bit. The base, we talked about the sizes earlier on the base. You got to pick which size you want and whether you want wireless. So just remember, you got the two types of wireless. You got dongle and Bluetooth. Make sure your computer has Bluetooth before you buy a Bluetooth keyboard. There'll always be, usually there's a dongle option that comes with a keyboard. Usually the Bluetooth is left off. I've never really seen a keyboard that's Bluetooth only, unless it's like for connecting to an iPad. What I'd like to do now is go through a few websites that I've used to build a few keyboards and buy them and everything. There are way more options than this. Again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. There are cheaper options. There are other things out there. This is just, in my opinion, the ones that I think are the best for easy, simplistic building. All right. So the first website, this is one of my ultimate all-time favorite keyboard makers, is Glorious. They make the GMM-K Pro that I showed you. Let's go back to the main website. They have other things here. They have mouses and mouse pads and all sorts of crazy stuff. But what I like about here is if you go to the keyboard section up top, there's bare bones kits, which means it's just going to come with the base. And then you kind of add all your extras onto it. You add which switches and which keycaps you would like on it. Then you can take each keyboard itself, the GMM-K Pro and the GMM-K2, and you can either do pre-built or bare bones. We're just going to click on build so we can go through a few of them. We'll go over the GMM-K2. You lose the knob and stuff like that on these keyboards. This one's a lot cheaper than the GMM-K Pro. The GMM-K Pro is $160 for the base itself, but well worth it. One of my all-time favorites. Now, my wife has this keyboard and it's done awesome so far. They don't sell the size she has anymore. She had like I think a regular full set. Maybe she has this 96%. She's got a pink one, but you can change the colors. So you can see the price down here kind of. Why is that? No, it's a $59.99. And then you pick your switches. There's lubed and unlubed. I mean, you can lube your own switches, so I don't know if it's worth paying an extra $30 to get lubed switches. And this is the price to fill this keyboard 100%. And they got tons of different ones. They got their exclusive ones. So there are other Panda switches out there, but these are Glorious Panda switches. These are what I have in my GMM-K Pro currently. I think, I don't really know, but mine are springy. Like they make a like bing, bing, bing every time I type, and I'm not a big fan of it. I've been wanting to switch. Then you have these Glorious Lynxes, which are a linear switch, smooth clicking, and they're not overly clicky noise. Then you have these Raptors, which are extremely clicky. I've tried these at Best Buy before and they are loud. This is a little bit of a breakdown, and you go on to next. They have regular ones as well. If you don't want the Glorious, they have these other Gateron switches, which you'll find on Amazon and all sorts of stuff, probably way cheaper. Just pointing that out. They have purples, the tactile, linear. See, so they lay out which ones are clicky, which ones are tactile, which ones are linear. Gradient series, these ones down here, the ones that are like $60 or $50. I'd say that's what's going to run you for a normal keycap set. This isn't too bad. We're up a $331. Oh, because we have both selected. There we go. We're still at $200. That seems a little ridiculous to me. But what I would do, to be honest, is buy a bare bones kit and then buy keycaps and switches from somewhere else. I like the base of the Glorious. So then we'll go on to ACO. ACO sells a bunch of different keyboard. They have an insane selection. If you come down to the keyboard section, they have a ton of keyboards. They even have a SpongeBob. Tons of collaborations. They used to have a Dragon Ball Z one, but you can see the prices down here. They range. This is a full-size keyboard. That's a 10 keyless keyboard. Lots of good looking ones in here. Then they usually turn to sold out. They rotate. Oh yeah, the Dragon Ball Z one sold out. They rotate in and out all the time on ACO. But they also have, you know, just keycaps, DIY kits, which these I think are very empty. Like you have to build the whole thing. And then there's Kinetic Labs, which is one of my favorite places to get switches from. I like their switches a lot. There's certain ones though that come from Kinetic Labs itself. So a lot of people sell other companies, like Gateron is a company that makes switches, very popular. But there's ones like, I think these salmon ones. Yes, because it comes with this sticker. And what's nice about Kinetic Labs is they do sound tests for you, see how it sounds. And then, of course, there's always Amazon. I would always search for hot swappable keyboards. This EPO Maker is one of my favorites. I've bought it before and tested it out. It's pretty good. The Maggie's keyboards, Amazon is where you can go super cheap, but I would make sure it's hot swappable, because then if you don't like the sound, if you don't like any of that stuff, you just unplug the switch and plug it back in with a different sound or whatever you would like to include. Now that I've given you a few websites to build your own keyboard, I'm going to go through and show you how I put my keyboard together. I'm going to bring in a couple different keyboards. We got the GMMK Pro from Glorious. And then we got the High Ground keyboard. These are my only two high-end keyboards. There's one that my wife bought me a long time ago. It's the first keyboard ever. I love it. It broke though. It's a really cheap one off Amazon. But it was the one I wanted. She got it for me. So it's very special to me. I got to rebuild it and put it up on display. Kind of want to take these off of this keyboard because this keyboard's really good, and put regular keycaps because I'm kind of an old man and I need to know where the keys are because I always get confused. I start typing all weird. The GMMK Pro. The base is like $160 by itself. That's not including these keycap sets. I think this together is like a $300 keyboard because these Iron Man keycap sets are like $200. Just kind of want to explain what's going to happen when you order a keyboard. So you're gonna get these little switches. They're gonna show up. These are Husky linear switches. I kind of want to change out this keyboard for these. You got these pins. There's 3 and 5 pin. This one's a 5-pin switch. I would always suggest getting 5-pin, and you should always get a keyboard that supports 5, because if the keyboard supports 5, it'll also support 3. Kind of a big thing there. I think this keyboard is mixed with Panda and Husky switches, which is slightly embarrassing. I think I ran out of Panda switches, and I also don't have enough Husky switches to do this either. All right, usually what comes with your keyboard or your keycap set is keycap holders. So this is High Ground's keycap holder. This one just makes it to where you have to kind of get underneath the keycap and it picks it up just like that. This one's pretty easy. Then this one's from Glorious. You kind of put it on there and slip it over the top, and then just yank. It's a good example. And then you have a switch puller, which there's different ones of these. This is the only one I could find. I think I have one more. So for the switch puller, there's these 2 little switches on the top. It's not really a switch. They have these little clasps, right? One's right here, and then one is on the other side. That's what the switch puller grabs onto and yanks it out. Yeet. Okay, so there you can see that's where your pins go in. These are the 2 copper ones that you see on the switch itself. These 2 little ones right here, they go into that. This is a 5-pin. But the Panda switch is only 3. Very interesting. But I know these Husky ones work in here. Boop. You should just feel like a click when you put it in there. That's all you got to do. Click it in. Shouldn't feel crunch. I've bent these. I mean, you can even see a bent one right there. They're pretty easy to bend back. You just need like a flathead screwdriver, needle nose pliers that'll bend it straight. Or you just use your finger. Your finger works too. You should never have to like push or pull super hard on these. They should go in and out really easy. Now there are north and south facing. These are north facing. Basically, it's just where the plugins are. So just watch where you're putting the pins. Make sure the pin on this matches up with the holes on there. So this one goes this way. Back from building the keyboard. Well, not really building. I already built it. Putting it together for you guys and kind of showing you how it all works and what you should be doing. I know this is a pretty simple explanation. I'm just not the biggest fan of when creators spend way too much time like telling you that it has a 1.5 actuation point or something like that. Stuff that I don't even know. You know, people get really in depth and go all crazy. An honorable mention, I'll say, and one of the best bets is to go to High Ground, buy one of their keyboards. They're hot swappable, and then just find some switches on the internet, on Amazon or Best Buy or wherever. Echo, Kinetic Labs, all those. And then you can customize the keyboard in your way, the way that you want to. Those will run you about $135 as their baseline. Now, a lot of people are going to say that's way too expensive. What? I would never spend that much. But whatever. It's the convenience. It's built. It's ready to go.